Welcome back to Window on Thailand, the Andaman series. We talk more about property tourism with Hunter Sotheby's International Realty.
2011 is already looking like being a record year for Andaman tourism, as international arrivals at Phuket Airport reached 654,009 during the first 3 months of this year, according to the TAT. This marks an increase of 25% over the same period last year. This region offers residential properties ranging from luxury beachfront villas to small apartments. The property market has experienced an upward trend in recent years, powered by the rising demand from foreigners and real estate investors. Eurozone citizens are one of the most active investors along with Americans and Australians. The recent weakness of the European currency doesn't seem to moderate the appetite for real estate properties.
So let's talk a little bit about the politics here in Thailand. How do you think that is affecting the realty business here?
I think the political landscape has had a clear impact over the last few years on certainly the buying intentions of some of the visitors. I think it's less of an issue today. The political landscape seems to have become more stable, and we're not hearing negative sentiment from buyers. Although in previous years, and certainly after the coup of 2006, the buyer that had considered Phuket as a destination home, people in Europe, they certainly stopped buying. They couldn't.
Do you think people in Europe are more cautious than Asian buyers?
Well, they're certainly more cautious, but I think the issue is they couldn't quite assimilate and understand what was happening here, whereas the regional expat has quite possibly seen it all before, and they can digest what was happening.
So do most people buy or rent here?
Well, I think we've already reflected there's over 6 million people per year come to Phuket. So if they all bought, we'd be something like Singapore.
Right.
So no, only a handful.
You'd be very happy if they all bought, right?
We would not be 2 offices, more like 20 offices.
Right, right. That's definitely true. And what locations are the most popular amongst your buyers? Is it like the beaches, or is it like near the central business areas? Where do you believe that would be?
Well, you know, we're an idyllic tropical island, and the majority of people that come to Phuket come because of the climate, as we've already discussed, and because of the beaches, and it's a destination. So the majority of people that we meet want to be in proximity to the beaches, and the most beautiful beaches still, and I've always been, are on the west coast. So we find the most popular locations for those coming both for holiday and to consider buying are on the west coast, and certainly the A1 address in Phuket still is from Kamala through to Laguna. There's some beautiful estates on the east coast, most notably the Cape Yamu residences, which are magnificent, and Sipanwa, but certainly I think the west coast still has the attraction.
And is it easy for foreigners to buy and rent here?
Yes, it is. It's a very straightforward process. Indeed, it is. Compared to some locations, and myself, I've owned properties overseas, and just to give you an example, when we purchased our home in France, it took 3 months from making the offer, and the transaction fees were in excess of 10%.
Wow. To me, it seems quite complicated, the process. I mean, because I don't understand it as well as you do. You know, if somebody come in here and buy a house, you know, like what is like the first simplest thing that they must do?
Well, come in here and meet a reputable agent is the first thing that they should do. I think what you're alluring to is that you know, the legalities here are slightly different to elsewhere, and that requires therefore a re-education of the client, or an education process which we need to take that person through. That can be done quite simply, and thereafter, having identified the right property, it's a very simple process. We introduce the buyer to a professional and proficient lawyer. Once the offer is accepted, we do that, of course, and thereafter a deposit is made, and that's a deposit that is usually held in an escrow arrangement, so it's secure and safe. And then there is a period of due diligence, which usually lasts between 30 and 45 days, where the lawyers conduct their research in regard to the land and whether it's encumbered or not, and the corporate structure that might hold the property. It's a very straightforward process.
Okay. Do you think more of the serious people are retirees that purchase?
Less and less so. I think Phuket has attracted a big swathe of retirees from Europe and regional expatriates, but you only have to go to the international schools these days to find that there is a wealth of younger, middle-aged people that have decided to relocate here for the beaches, for the lifestyle, for the cost of living. And we're seeing more and more people relocate from the metropolitan areas of Southeast Asia, like Hong Kong and Singapore, and in some respects running away from the pollution, relocating their families here, and still running their business remotely from Phuket. We've got a great communication system with flights across the region, and people are using Phuket as a base for their families, younger people, and continuing to work in the region.
Unfortunately, we run out of time for this part of the segment, and we will return to talk more with Andrew Hunter from Hunter Sotheby's International Realty, more about the business side as well as the future trends.